Welcome to the Some Laugh podcast.
It could be like, oh, that was some laugh, or there was just some laughs.
Some laugh. Well, no promising all laugh.
No, there's going to be some.
It's some laugh. Thanks for joining us, Amos. So, first time I've seen you, right?
Yeah.
It was 2019, December. Went to see Jim Jefferies at the Hydro in Glasgow. First guy walks out, you. And do you know what I always remember about that? It's like, because I've opened for people, man, and sometimes you come out and you feel like, oh no, you're worried, oh, are they going to, like, do they even know there's an opener? Do they know that concept? Do you need to apologise for not being them? Do you need to say something about not being the person I've came to see? You just went out and straight away just fucking right into it.
Yeah, because Jeffrey said that to me when I first started. He's like, because some people, I'm not going to name any names, have come out to open for him, and they will do that. They'll be like, now I know you're waiting for Jim. He will be out in about 40 minutes, so you got to put up with me. So let's just get through this. It's either that or dead silence, and then they'll just eat you alive.
Yeah.
And then Jim was like, mate, if you go and watch like Oasis or something back in the day, and like Kasabian opens, they're not like, sorry, we're not Noel and Liam. We've got a couple of hits. See how you go with them, and we'll be off in a minute. Like Matt Kirshen, I remember once came out in Adelaide and he told people where the toilets were during his set.
Yeah, that's.
And then they were at the Adelaide crowd was like, off. And he's like, no. I'm just trying to be helpful. That was sick, because we did the gig and we came backstage and I was with this other American comedian, Forrest. I don't know if you guys remember him, but he'd done some gigs for Alan Anderson. I don't know if you've had. Do your listeners know who Alan is?
Yeah, well, Alan's a promoter that we're out here with.
He's promoted, but Forrest had done some work for him like 3 years earlier and never got paid. And Alan came back to see everyone after the show, and Jim just looks at him and goes, right, cunt, you owe him £300. So if you're going to come into the green room and have a drink back here at the Hydro, pay the motherfucker right now. And he had it on him as well.
That's hilarious.
And we're like, how often does this happen to you, Alan?
I'm pretty sure every time there's a big comic that bumps into Alan, he probably owes him money. But it was weird because, like, you've basically achieved my fucking career goal by playing that
Hydro.
Yeah.
No, that's the worst part about it, is like, I've opened for him in all the, like, we've done Madison Square Garden, O2, Hydro, like Ziggo Dome in Amsterdam. But it's not you, but you'd start to build an ego out of it, where you're like, yeah, I've done that room, done that, because Kevin Bridges came to see it.
Aye.
And I was talking to him and I'm like, yeah, it's a pretty nice room to play, isn't it, man? Like, we're on some kind of level parring. And they're like, yeah, he sold this out 12 times by himself.
Mate, man, that was like,
or whatever, 100 times or whatever he's done it. But it's not yours.
Yeah.
You know?
What you need to do is like I've aimed significantly lower. Just bring your goals down, Mark. Bring them right down. Like, maybe, I'll just have a good weekend.
Aye.
And that's where I'm at.
Oh, that's a bit arrogant at this festival. We're all dying on our ass here in Perth. It's been a fucking nightmare. Everyone went to the UFC. They're not going to comedy.
I was like, well, I'm wearing the fucking t-shirt.
So you went. You'll love this. I was looking through my Instagram the other day and I was like, I was just priced out of going to the UFC.
Yeah.
And then there's this guy called Slav. Speaking of that tour, his name's Slavomir. He's Jim's like bodyguard when we went to the Euro tour.
Oh,
Jim needed a bodyguard because there was some issue about a Islamic threat, because he'd supposedly drawn Muhammad in a sketch or something. I don't know what it was, but they're pretty non-chill about that. Famously non-chill. And so they had a bodyguard. It was this guy. He's like a Polish, like special forces guy. He's a real hard cunt. Mm-hmm. And he was, what's his name? Makachev?
Aye. Islam,
he was his bodyguard for this tour.
No.
Which is a weird one when you're like, I'm the bodyguard for the pound for pound greatest fighter in the world. Like, what are you really doing? But he was here and he messaged me like, do you want to get breakfast? And I went down and saw him, and I hadn't seen him for like 5 years or something. And I had like a torn ACL on the tour. And every day I was like, oh, my knee. And one day he goes, here, you take 2 of these. And I was like, is this for my knee? And he goes, no, it's for my ears, because you are a bitch of a man. It was just like a pure morphine pill.
Did you see, by the way, fucking Alan said that Islam was on his flight today?
Yeah, and he said, he's flying business class.
Yeah, and he says he's a miserable bastard, but to be fair, Alan probably owed him 300 quid as well.
But like, do you need more than business class? Like, once you're laying flat, what is there? Yeah. Like, I know the Arab dudes need like an area for their Falcon or whatever. Have you ever been to one of those planes where they have the bird section?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, like,
a bird section?
Yeah, and all the sheikhs, they fly with their birds on them. And so there's like a first class where the sheikhs sit up there and their birds can fly around.
I didn't know they had birds.
Yeah, they have these falcons. It's like their version of like rich white women with the dog on the plane in America. They have like these birds of prey, and they have the big mitt they fly with. And so some of the seats have to have like a leather protector because these claws and talons
Fucking hell.
are sitting on the plane.
I flew business class once on my honeymoon. They gave us it because a plane fucked up. We missed the day, and then within an hour, I'd got so fucking drunk and spilled red wine all over everything, man. And then the next leg, we were not on business class anymore. I'm like, they fucking knew, man.
The word got out. You're trying to give these scumbags a leg up, and these cunts will spill wine everywhere.
Yeah, I fucking
These guys
ruined
getting
it.
fucking bird shit all over the plane on and fucking not saying anything about
Yeah,
that.
because I had a girl that went to my school became like a first class hostie.
Aye.
And she was like, I had to do a bird management course. She's like, I had to like not freak out about birds of prey.
Fucking
And then
hell.
like a lot of them just offer to fuck you for cash in the toilets on the plane.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Anyway, she's got a nice house, so I don't know what she's got.
She does.
It must be a bit of a fucking busman's holiday for a bird to get on a plane, eh? It's just like, why
I could be doing this.
Vastly unnecessary. Have you done a lot of business first class then on your travels?
No, Jim specifically like
you in economy?
keeps you in economy. Like I'm not kidding. There was a time where I could upgrade with points, and so I got up to business class because they'd paid for all the flights, and I was like, oh, I'll treat myself on this one, and I upgraded. And he's like, what are you doing here? And I was like, oh, points. He's like, is there? Nah, you're the opener. I can't have you up here.
That's
He goes,
funny.
there's got to be some kind of fucking system.
Yeah.
He's like, I can't be paying for you to sit up the front here with me. I never got this.
Brilliant.
Why have you got this?
Yeah.
Is that because like, he's paid his dues? He doesn't want you
100%.
getting any
And
of
he
the...
never had any of that gear. And he's like, if you sit up here, I'm doing this for you. You're going to get weaker as a comic because you think you've made it and you haven't. You need to go back there in a middle seat, get a notepad out, and use the rage of how much you hate me and the other rich people to make good comedy.
That's a very fair point.
It is fair. That's the thing is I'm over here in Perth. Like I had no money growing up, and now my mum's fucking this gold magnate who's got like boats and a nice apartment.
Yeah,
and
thanks very much for inviting
and
us
so
out
I
in the boat,
bring you
by the way.
guys
That
out
was
of the
very
boat. But let me tell you, I've not written a joke in that house. My mum even says, "Oh, you can go like this. It's got like a sea view, or like you can spend time on the boat." And it's like, while you're on like a yacht, you're not like, oh, I'm disgruntled with the world.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell the powerful. I'm here to punch down, and you're like, I don't know if I can. I'm gonna punch up. I'm fucking. It's good though, isn't it?
Oh man, that was
Yeah.
amazing. What a couple of days on that boat. It was great.
Once you go on a boat once, you start to be like, I started looking at the stock market with like what I would normally bet on horses and like Premier League games. I was like, I might have a punt on some like African mining stocks and organise a coup.
But it's interesting though when you get out in the water then and then you start noticing all the bigger boats and then you go, nah.
Yeah.
my boats, I need
I'm
the
not
bigger
kidding
one.
you. I never had any boats, and then he's got this boat, which is a nice enough boat. But then because I've been on it 3 times, I invited you guys on the boat, and I was like, I'm pretty ashamed of this boat. Really. I'm in the harbour, and I'm like, yeah, but that's a bigger boat than ours, but he's dirty money. You don't. Nah.
But no, that's the thing, because you fucking don't really go out in boats and shit back home really, unless, and even if you do, the weather's not there, so we were
You
like...
used 1 full litre of sunscreen, by the way.
Yeah, no, well, I didn't get burnt though, so it worked.
Look at me. I was like, I got all this, my flesh is peeling off.
yeah.
And I was saying to you guys, I was like, yeah, no, I'm a Croatian and an Aussie, so I don't need sunscreen.
But that's just getting rid of bad skin, then finding a nice fresh
like,
layer underneath.
like a snake.
Yeah.
Which side is Croatian?
My mum.
Your mum's side?
Croatian. Yeah, that's why you were speaking to me yesterday. I was at the office trying to get my Croatian citizenship.
Aye.
Which has been like a 7-year pursuit for me. And like I only go to the office after World Cups, and because Croatia does well in a World Cup, and then I get all patriotic again, and I'm like, we're the best. I need the citizenship. We're from the Velebit Mountains where Luka Modric comes from. I'm not an Australian, I'm a Croat. And then I go to the office and I'm like trying to start my Croatian passport process, and they're pretty much like, everyone come now, huh? Oh, yeah. Oh, 1 good World Cup, you think you're a Croatian? It's a 3-year wait. 3 years to get in. Last time, have I told you this story about what my mum made me do?
No.
Okay, so there's no language barrier anymore to get the citizenship. You used to have to speak the language, and there was like military service, and they got rid of that because the population is dwindling so bad.
Yeah.
And then there was the language test, which I couldn't do, and my mum wanted me to get the citizenship. So she's like, this is her real plan. And you've met my mum, who's a fucking lunatic. Her plan was to take me to the Croatian office in Zagreb, and she was going to tell them my son has had an accident. He was kicked by a horse or something.
Oh my god!
Right, so he's got
Kicked by a horse is a classic accident.
which in Croatia they can understand. Oh yeah, okay,
kicked by a horse. Yeah.
So she was like, he's got brain damage. She goes, so if you can't speak English or Croatian, you can't really speak at all, then it would be wrong of them to not be able to give you the citizenship.
Oh my god!
So when you do the test, I'm going to hold onto your arm and I want you to be like, just mumble.
How old were you when this happened?
I was like 19. I'm like, I'm not doing that. That's fucked up. Like, that's so wrong. And mum's just like, what's wrong with you? You're so PC.
Well, she's clearly not read the reviews of your recent shows anymore.
So, like, I had to, like, but I, like, half committed to the bit.
Yeah.
Where, like, I tried to speak a little bit of Croatian, but not enough. I just kept going, aye there, mama, aye there. And then the person just looked at us like, well, this guy's fucking, like, we don't have any room for him on our healthcare system.
Jesus.
Like, he's a burden. And they just rejected me. So I've had to wait until now because they've dropped the language requirement.
What the hell?
But I'm worried that when I go in there, they're going to be like, oh, miraculous recovery for this one.
Still get it written in the notes. Oh, he must have fucking improved after that horse kicked him in the head.
So I also, to get my citizenship, I have to promote Croatia to the world. So
Well, thanks.
come on down to the Dalmatian coast. Don't go inland. There's still landmines.
How many times? When's the last time you were in Croatia?
Right before COVID.
Right
I went to like where my mum was born, and it's like a Borat.
Is it
It's
really?
a Borat village.
Fuck.
Because you don't think that for Europe.
No.
I guess you got, but there is still parts there where it's like electricity's like on a few hours a day.
No.
They're like refusing to, the EU is making them leave the villages of like 12, 20 people or whatever to go down into the bigger villages. And where my mum was from, I found out that like my grandpa always said, we have a very good friend, Luka Modric. He's a very good friend for family. And then I found out the real story was that my grandfather was the shepherd of Luka Modric's family's like sheep and their cattle.
Fucking
and so
hell.
he actually was not friends with them. He was like basically a servant for the Modriches.
Fucking
Who
hell.
were the kingpins of the town.
Oh, but they like money.
And they've got
Modric
like
was-
6 yaks. So my grandfather's like, oh, very, very snooty. They have a 6 yak. But it was weird because you go in there and they've still had that war. And so like every house you walk into just has pictures of a weird general.
Aye.
And they're all like, oh, and you kind of ask questions like, so who's your dad? No, my dad was killed in the war. And you go, yeah. Good thing my family got on the boat, eh?
And we've not left the boat since.
And then I've just got my Croatian football kit on, and I'm like, we're all Croatian. And they're like, you are not Croatian. No. You have not killed the Serb.
Fucking hell. But so obviously you've been living in like America. Have you been back and forth for like?
I come back here to get cash really because it's like the Americans. Like the American thing is there is like you're either super famous or you're just battling to make any rent. And so I try and come back here, do gigs or whatever. And I live in LA and it's a dump.
Really?
It's so shit. Have you been?
I've been a couple of times. Every American lineup I see on like a thing, it's like every comic on it has like the weirdest TV credits I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah,
It's
exactly. Like I was on Family Feud with Steve Harvey doing warm up.
Yeah, it was something like as seen on like Little Yachty's fucking rap battles on Channel X, and I'm like,
Yeah, that's quite good. By the way.
is that good? Yeah.
No, but they really won't book you without like a TV credit a lot of the time. So that's why people just are digging.
That
You're
seems
like, oh
bad.
man, I was in the back of a Logan Paul clip.
But like, what's the? So you don't like the city? What's the scene like in general? Because obviously in Hollywood and all that shit. Do you ever like?
I reckon the Americans are like the best in the world at comedy, and then they have 95% of the worst comedians.
A big drop
you've
off
ever
after the
seen,
big
you know?
guys. Yeah.
There's some like really good stuff, and then you see like their stand-ups are funny, but their people aren't. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
What I'm really trying to say here is that African American people are funny, and white America sucks.
Yeah.
Like they don't have any. I've been talking about it in my show here. Is that like we call it tall poppy syndrome in Australia? I don't know if you know in Scotland, which is just like as soon as anyone's a bit. You know, they've got dreams and aspirations, or they're talking positive about things. We're just like, you're a bit of a fuckhead, mate.
Yeah. Well, they say that the greatest crime a crab can commit is to take a leap for the rim of the bucket.
Yeah, it's true. So you tear down.
That's the phrase, man.
That's a phrase.
I've heard that like crabs in the bucket, but I've never heard that.
I heard it when I was out in the boat.
Because our one in Australia is like, we call it the tall poppy. You know, you cut down the tall poppy.
Yeah.
But I always seen it as like the embodiment of Australia's tall poppy syndrome for anyone who's trying to be aspirational is when we play cricket. Do you have this rule in Scotland if you play back? You don't really play cricket, do you? You never play cricket, eh?
No.
Oh, you fucking scum.
It's only to spite the English.
Yeah.
We don't play it.
Everyone else they colonised, they're forced to play it, and we're like, no, fuck off.
So what we do is like if you hit the ball for 6, that's like the best thing you can do.
Right.
But in backyard cricket, that's an immediate out. So like they go, you did the best thing, but get the fuck out because you've ruined the game for everyone else and you think you're too good, so you lose your wicket, which is like a very Australian thing where they're like, yeah, who the fuck do you think you are?
That's interesting though, because let's see in Scotland there is a thing of like if you move to London or obviously America or something, if you don't live in Scotland, people get annoyed a bit, I think.
Oh yeah, people hate me in Australia now for that because I'm always ragging on us for that. But then like I ragged on us a lot for that, but then I was from like a farming town in Australia, so you can, man, if you wore like a shirt with like a different colour pattern on it that day, everyone's like, oh, all right. Someone's got a missus now, do they? What do you got, a job interview, do you, mate? You're like, dude, it's like a fucking, it's a yellow t-shirt, and it's like the worst thing you can do. But then I moved to America, and then I'm around dudes in like Gucci and Louis Vuitton glasses, and they'll be like, dude, last night I fucked this chick for like 8 hours, and she was like, you're the best fuck of my life, and then everyone's high-fiving, and you're like, when are we glassing it, man?
Yeah.
Like, why are you guys talking so openly about how good you are? It's kind of revolting.
Aye, well, that's definitely an American trait that's not shared probably in Australia or UK.
Well, I think that's because truly, if you don't big yourself up in the States, I never got it until I was there, and I was like, if you don't big yourself up and try and get gigs, it's just like you got no health care and you'll be homeless.
Yeah.
Like I know people who do comedy, they sleep in like they're renting out closets. That's like no joke. They will sleep in a closet with a mattress on the floor. And they'll be like, yeah, but it's in a good neighbourhood.
I mean, if I managed to make it through the fucking firing range as an American school, I would big myself up after that as well.
Are we going to pretend that you wouldn't be the guy with the gun?
Listen, I'd be the guy with the gun, but I'm not turned on myself. I'm not a fucking coward.
A guy with those clear braces on today?
I shot 20 kids.
Surely you'd hold out to take on the cops. I don't get when they turn it on themselves.
Take on who? That's like the boss level, isn't it? Really?
To get one cop.
Yeah.
You've killed all the kids, and then when you shoot yourself, it's like, just do suicide by cop.
Yeah.
That's the proper way to go out.
It would
then leave a like fake bomb threat. You also go like, there's a bomb in a train station, slow down the city for a day. Like, go big.
When that dude shot up that cinema when he was dressed up as like the Joker, terribly.
Yeah.
I was in Vegas at that time, and it was on the news, and I was like, oh, fuck. Dark Knight's in the cinemas. I might go and see that. It was a great advert.
That has still ruined me. Like when I'm in cinemas now in America, it's the place for some reason that one's stuck in my head. So if I see a dude wander in, like alone to watch a movie, you spend most of the time looking at his body language. Like, what's he up to? I'm here to try and watch Kingsman, man.
I always think it must be quite scary. It must be scary doing stand-up on stage in America though, if you think people have got guns, because it's like, I mean, fucking just somebody throwing a glass or something, but if something doesn't like you, could just shoot you. Yeah,
but here's the thing that people don't say about the gun culture is because they have guns, they actually are politer because they're all thinking, fuck, this guy could have a gun, that guy could have a gun. So things actually don't... It's either murder or really nice. Like, there's no street fights. Like, no one calls you names. The road rage is different because everyone's kind of like, I don't know. If I go at this guy, he could have a screwless and have a gun. So there's a lot of like, sorry, okay, sir, move along.
But when you're on stage, you're purposely not being polite and saying the most fucked up shit, and then people could be like, well, fuck you, I'm going to shoot you.
Yeah, but then they've also got those big dudes on the front door, which we don't have in Australian and English comedy.
Sense.
We've got guys strapped with guns. Like the Comedy Store LA has a bullet hole in it from a drive-by.
Fuck.
Yeah, and heaps of comedians.
Cool.
Yeah, and all these comedians were like, yeah, I couldn't go back, I had PTSD. And I was just like, good, clear the fucking list. I'm trying to get spots.
Yeah, get out of the way.
Get your Kevlar on, get down there for a 5.
It's only a matter of time before somebody goes in and shoots up the backstage of a comedy club so they can try and get the spots.
Yeah, that's a night where I'll be glad I'm not booked.
But how do you find the crowds in America versus like Australia and stuff?
Enthusiastic.
Aye.
Like Australians, I don't really believe. I reckon the funnier the population, the worse the stand-up sometimes, because the audience are thinking, I got to make funnier than this.
Yeah.
I'm funnier than this. I don't think you're very good at all. Whereas America is so enthusiastic for a performance.
Yeah.
Whereas like in Australia, I think people, the art form itself is like a bit of it. You might as well be a fucking juggler. Well, you've seen it here in Perth. What do you think? They're a bit like, they want to buy the ticket for $14. Like you're not as valuable to them as a burrito.
Oh, yeah, that is harsh, actually. I never thought about that. I've been busting my ass and fucking sweating down to my belly button, and I'm like, this is for nothing, really.
Yeah, burgers in Australia are $17. And my tickets at this festival have been constantly reduced to 14. And people still have the temerity to leave a review for your 60-minute show. And they had 3 bites of a burger to get there, and they will never complain about the price of the burger, even if it was shit.
Yeah.
But for some reason, your art form, or whatever the fuck you're doing up there, they're like, nah, there was no value in that. The car park was more. The beer that they took into the show was more. And they fucking still aren't happy, man.
Fuck. No, that's so true, man. But I find here, like, it's hard to judge it because you get such a short go of it compared to, like, obviously if you live here or whatever. But it seems to me just that it's hard to engage people, particularly like with stuff about the news or world events, because why would you care if you're here?
Yeah, 100. Like everyone keeps saying to me, "Why is no one coming out?" And I'm like, "Well, it's 32 degrees. The beach is pumped. There's a lot of drinking and trying to fuck in the bars near the beach. Like, it's no one says like, oh, you know what? Scrap that. There's the dolphins that we can see jumping over the horizon in the sunset. Let's go to a Brass Monkey Scottish and Irish pub where there's no air conditioner and listen to a guy tell a family story about his depression and his grandma's dementia. Like, if you just pitch that as a thing to do,
Yeah.
But whereas if it's a cold climate, what else are you gonna do? Like, that's why I love performing in like Detroit.
Right.
It's like what else?
Yeah, so Glasgow
you
and
do?
stuff like that, Scotland is good to perform in because it's just shite outside all the time. People just want to get in and then huddle around and go, oh, at least this makes us feel better about how shite and cold it is.
Do you guys like Australia?
Yeah, I think it's great. I do feel a sense of like home-ish when I come here as well.
There's some home comforts here because there's some British shit in there. Like this, I remember when I seen there was a Wild
Colonisation.
Bean Cafe, and I'm like, fucking cool, man. Just like here.
Well, I saw the what's that fucking thing you guys all like? That shit English
Nando's?
Monster Munch.
Oh, do you know Monster Munch here?
Yeah.
That's mate.
There's
don't-
this, I mean, I haven't even had it.
I know
but
it-
I
I know
saw
you-
it and I put it in the group chat, and like Rob Mulholland was like, "Where is it? exactly the coordinates."
But this isn't the climate for Monster Munch. Again, that's something that goes down better in the cold. When you're
Yeah.
fucking roasting 30,
Do you guys
37
feel
degrees.
ugly here?
Yeah.
Oh, actually, no. I feel about
No?
the same level as I usually do, which is just like I'm not thinking about it.
I fucking feel ugly next to you. I can't. Also, like you, every time I've ever met you, you've been with you've got a very beautiful girlfriend at the moment who's just been over, and you're
Oh,
always
the German, yeah,
You're always the German.
the German, minor German.
But man, you get the lead. Well, you have always had attractive partners. Amos.
I've always had a pyramid scheme for women, which
Right.
was what you do is you need to get one hot girlfriend,
Uh-huh.
usually a psychotic. Someone who I remember the first time I ever dated a girl that was like, had an Instagram following. She
Sure.
was so mentally ill, and someone once said to me, I was like, yeah, she's just like completely unstable. Like like she's really, really hard to be around. And he was like, mate, you found a Ferrari on the street with the doors open and the keys in it. There was going to be something wrong with the internal parts of the car if a guy like you was allowed to drive it. He's like, you don't just find a Ferrari if you're a guy on low income who does comedy. He's like, if the car was working sound, it would belong to somebody who was far more handsome and successful than you. And then you date one beautiful girl, and then you just, once that's established, there'll be other girls that are like this. There's got to be something in there. And then they work out after 3 months there isn't something in there. But then you've got another picture there. You go, now I've got 2 in. Now the Ponzi scheme has begun.
So it's what they call social. It's something they call social proof. So because they see you had a really attractive girl. So is it that, or is it your internal confidence of going, I know that just because they're beautiful on the outside doesn't, like, you don't feel as intimidated anymore?
Well, yeah, but without stand-up, how would you hook up with anyone? Your personality?
No.
I got nothing. It's a better lies. No, but I'm actually dating someone I really like now, because I've realised a lot of my show this year is about reflecting on how much I've tried to date superficially attractive women to make fill a hole with my friends, to be like, look, I must be doing all right in my life. And then they're talking to me about astrology or whatever, and I go, this isn't what I want.
This is a really good point, and I think that the reason guys often are motivated to see if, get with a really, really attractive woman, it's not even so much because you want to be with her or you want to shag her or something. It's because you want to look cool in front of your friends.
Oh, 100%. Half of it is to be like, see your mates go, mate, she's pretty hot. Maybe your career is actually a thing. You know what I mean? Like it's a legitimizer.
But you're a good-looking guy, Amos. Did you not used to get?
No, I had a high school girlfriend for like 7 years, and then I had another girlfriend for like 4 years. So I've always just liked. I fucking hate chasing. I said this the other day. You ran into me like. I hate being single when it becomes every part of my life is I'm just on apps, I'm just DMing, I'm reacting to all kinds of people's stories, throwing out wild shots at like some actress is just like, I just got a roll flame emoji. I'm just like, to the point where you need like a secretary. And then now I have a girlfriend that I love, and we hang out, and I'm not even on my phone anymore. Yeah. And like the amount of stuff I can get done in my life when I'm not living 9 lies I've been telling to various people, like the amount of personas that I've got to talk to all kinds of girls, and like this web where you almost have to have like a note section in your phone where you're like that girl believes I'm an architect or whatever. You know what I mean?
Why am I in the brass monkey? No reason, just having a pint actually.
I like I don't want to do the theatres. I prefer to be down there with the mates in the pub. It's a trial show. It's a work in progress. But it's so much more relaxing to just have like a girlfriend who's your mate.
Yeah.
But it's fun for a period.
Yeah, well, I'm finding that now a lot more, like that, like even the last time I was here, I was having a lot of fun and meeting different people and all that sort of stuff. But when I think back now just to how much time I spent on Tinder, texting and all this sort of stuff, and I'm like, no wonder I never get any fucking jokes written, because it's like a full-time admin job. When
it is. It's a full admin job, and then everyone's like, I'm anxious. And I think the reason a lot of people have anxiety is that a lot of anxiety for people is their online persona, like when they've been tuning people, coming into conflict with who they actually are. And then when you start to meet those girls, they're like, oh, you're not like you are online at all, actually.
It's nice for someone like me to just hear about it, though. And someone who's married.
You've been I've
been married. Not someone who's like fucking clearly given up on. Not some fucking horrible bastard. It's nice to hear about it and go on then. The fucking boys are out there shagging. Good for yous, man. Tell us what crazy stuff you got up to. It's nice to hear that.
My shagging days my girlfriend actually complained to me the other day that I've got a low sex drive these days. I don't know what's happened. I'm like, because I'm just having sex with you. Like, I'm like, listen, I still have the drive. I'm killing the drive to remain faithful. Yeah. I go, so there's this delicate balance of turning off that horrible side of me that wants to fuck heaps of people, and turning up the side that's like love and commitment. And it's an alchemy. I'm still keeping the dirty dog in you that wants to have sex all the time, and have this faithful monogamy bit. And you go, I'll get the chemistry right. Don't worry. Like, what do you like? How many times do you think you should be fucking your partner, your wife, a week really to be like, I feel healthy?
Well, this is the thing. I done that. I turned off that fucking freaky, fucking mad cunt side, and it turns out the only side that's left is just a lazy guy. I'm like, oh, I can't be fucked, man.
That's what I'm afraid of. And like, I've since I've been dating, I'm like, I'm the classic. I've put on heaps of weight. Like, I always tell her, she'll be like, oh, you look cute with chubby cheeks, and I'm like, don't fucking love me, you idiot. I'm trying to have a career here. Like, keep me guessing a little bit. I've started to get lazy. I don't exercise.
Yeah, and that's the contrast, isn't it? Because it's like, as soon as you do that, and then they're like, oh no, it's fine, I love you, yeah, no, that's the stuff, and then you become the person, and they're like, what happened to you? And you're like, you happened to me.
You made me into the swine that you no longer love.
But they would argue, though, it's like, why can't you have that drive and still just be faithful to them, Amos? That's what they would say.
Yeah, well, no, because we're scum.
Yeah.
It's
Testosterone, it's not our fault.
Well, that's why I've started going back to the gym, man, to get that testosterone back in my body, to become a fucking monster again. But just a monster whose brain's in the right place, I guess. Yeah. And my heart is faithful.
Because do you openly talk about your dating over here in Australia?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I see, because of that thing you're talking about, like, I just realised about 6 months ago, something was like the app's not just such a bad habit, so I just deactivated them completely, and I've been off it. But like, you're saying about, it's like, but because you do stand up, you do meet people and stuff, so sometimes, you meet somebody after a gig or whatever, and I've managed to be dating, a wee bit because of that. But I just felt like I was just going through the same pattern over and over again. That gets a bit old after a while, and like you say, doesn't it fill that void? So I'm just trying to be like, try to work towards my goals, and then hopefully that'll fucking attract the right person in that way.
And I also, like, because I had such a broken family growing up, I have realised, like, my current girlfriend, who's just the kindest, loveliest person, who's from a lovely, like, very together German family, that is, to me, and that's how I know I'm getting old, is I'm like, oh, I've got a family. Yeah.
You start to value that shit, but you really do.
And I'm most of our conversation is me being like, any brother? He's well? How's he going? Yeah, good. Tell him I'm doing internal jokes with them. I'm talking to the dad, and I'm like, fuck, we're a group. The dad's a steel magnate, or he sells steel cutting machines. They're like a German industrial steel family. And he wants me to be a salesman for like steel fabricating machines, because we were on their family ski trip, and he's like, so comedy is, good passion, and I'm sure you have good fun, but also it is nice to go on holiday to places like this. Yeah. So I'm not saying you won't get there, but Annika, my lovely daughter, does like to ski, so maybe you could sell some machines for me, and it's good commission. And then Annika's like, Dad, leave him alone. He's a comedian. He doesn't want to be involved in this. And I'm like, shush. Yeah, how much? What's the commission in this? What are we talking about? I want the commission. Right? And now I'm about to drop some fucking gold. I think I sold my first machine today, because my mum's boyfriend knows a guy who's like a steel fabricator for the mining business. And like, we're having a yarn at the pub, and he's like, oh, I've got to buy some machinery. We're updating. And I was like, then a part of my brain was like, hold on, I think I'm a salesman for that. And so I called my future father-in-law, and I was just like, can you get me some quotes on a drill line ACPM 35? Fucking hell, man. And so I called Annika, and I was like, I think I'm selling a machine for your dad. And she goes to me, I'm really worried about this. It's a slippery slope. And I'm like, yeah, so is Aspen. yeah, come on, folks. Yes. Come on, baby.
Lovely.
Have any of you guys, well, no, you haven't, because you're a wonderful, loving husband. Have you ever been asked to be a stunt dick for an OnlyFans person?
Have I been asked?
Yes.
No, but I have thought of offering before.
Now, I don't have the dick for it. I'm pushing absolutely nothing down here. But do you guys know Shooter Williamson, Alex Williamson?
Yeah.
Do you know that's what he does now?
Is it? Oh. Is he not doing his videos and all that?
No, I think he does a bit of it. But he said to me, and I thought it was a joke, like, this is like 2 years ago, before he went off on whatever binge he was on, where he went fucking mental. But he was just like, man, I've got a big male audience. And I've all these like OnlyFans chicks are contacting me like, you can fuck me, we'll make our own porn, and because you've got a male audience, we'll split the commish on the OnlyFans sales. And so now he just has sex with girls, And he's like, who's a fan of Shooter? Who wants to see how Shooter roots? And his fans are like buying that.
Oh my God.
And so now he's just like a porn star on OnlyFans. And he said to me the other day, we haven't spoken in a while. It's like a year ago now. He goes, I'm going to shoot a comedy special. And I said, well, you know what you should do is, you know how comedians do like that walking through the streets of New York, you know, and then they walk through the curtain and they're eating a slice of pizza and it's meant to be like, this is what I do before the show. I'm like, you should be in a green room banging someone. So it's a porn that turns into a comedy special, and then like you blow and you wipe yourself off and you just walk out and do the set. And he was like, that's sick. And the special's apparently coming out in like a week or two, and I'm like, here we fucking go.
Did he actually do it?
I don't know if he did it or not, but I'm like, he better have.
There's going to be a lot of people who don't make it to the comedy special aspect of that.
Yeah. That's how mad is that though? Well, it's another good fucking backup plan if the sales of the comedy doesn't work out as supposed to be.
Well, he's got a big old dick on him as well. You see.
Fair enough.
Have you eever tried to? Every time I've ever put my dick on film with just like our girlfriend, I'm like, just delete it. Because it's the same. I can't watch myself do stand up because I have this idea of who I am as a comic.
Yeah.
Like in my head, I'm like Richard Pryor up there or something, and then you watch it and you go, oh, the reality of my movements and how I look and what I'm saying, and then when you see a sex tape back, you go, oh,
that's brutal, man.
I got an OnlyFans. I had an OnlyFans, but it was only because the OnlyFans people contacted my agents and they were like, we're trying to push this as something
instead
else.
of Patreon or something.
Yeah. And they were like, do this and we'll fucking put it out to like 250,000 people. And I was like, well, and then I had like a weird Zoom meeting with my agent and like one of the head guys of OnlyFans, and I was like, I actually really don't want to do this, but
we're not really that far away, are we? It's pretty much the same.
They tried very hard. They tried to rebrand. You remember when they were banning nudes on OnlyFans, and it lasted like one day.
Yeah.
They're like, that's kind of the core platform of the business.
What an insane decision, though. But do you think that's weird though? Like, because you're saying about your future father-in-law saying all that stuff to you, but it's like he's talking to you as though it's this hobby, but you've literally played Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, and it's still jack shit. Like when you start to meet wealthy people, they're like, you are, no matter how successful you are, you're like, and that's why I have no ego in stand-up anymore. Is like, I don't give a like, you meet anyone in stand-up comedy, you're like, we are still scum.
Yeah,
like you can be the king of scum, but I go like, you know, we are all brothers and sisters in a, you know, with these scumbag court jesters who travel around. It's not like anyone's untouchable. Like we're not like a Nobel Peace Prize winners or the titans of industry here.
Yeah,
we're talking about cum. Like just fucking relax. Yeah. You know when you see people who truly believe that they're changing the world through their stand-up or something, that's my least favourite thing at the moment.
They're the freaks, man.
Because there's like two people in history who have said some profound things in stand-up and they've fucked it for everyone. And now everyone's up there. Like, I'm always guilty of that in my show.
Yeah, man.
I have a 10-minute chunk of quiet where I go, that'll change the hearts and minds of people. Yeah.
Well, that's a big thing, actually, at the Edinburgh Festival, is that, you know, the shows are always, like, themed and they've got a narrative and everybody's got to have this point and they say bring it down at 45 minutes and do the serious bit and all that shit, which I grew up watching, like, the American stand-ups and that, and I just like that thing of having a really brilliant hour. And that's, like, gyms like that, and then you've got... like obviously like your Chris Rocks and all
it's
that
like
sort of
stand up,
people.
you know, I hate when people are like, it was just stand up. As you see reviews, like, man, I don't know, it was just stand up. And you go, yeah, you know what's really hard?
I'm not saying that about
stand up.
Exactly. I'm not
to
saying
do
about,
it well.
Well, that's like, they're not saying that about the fucking burgers they're eating. I was just a burger. Did they change my life, you know?
It's like, this is what we do, so just fucking go and do it.
Absolutely.
I got 3/4 of the way through the burger and it didn't make me cry.
No. But
you're eating the wrong burgers, man. Not enough hot sauce burgers over here.
But I know what you mean, because I was like, you know, I got into it in a large part because I love Bill Hicks and all that sort of stuff, and you know, but like you said, he's bred a lot of like, you know, bad comedy out of that. But I found as well, see, with Australian comics, I find, tell me if I'm wrong, but I feel like there is a dichotomy that's a bit like more pronounced than maybe in the UK or elsewhere, whereas you get your guys like yourself or Jim or whatever, that are these kind of like that sort of style, and then you've got the opposite, which is the alt, like Sam Campbell's the best example of
then
it
you've got
now.
a lot of the silly clown dudes,
yeah.
and then you've got some really hyper
alt stuff?
theatre
Yeah,
alt
yeah.
stuff, because like everything in Australia, we have a cultural inferiority complex, and we always have to look to what the upper classes of England are doing and latch onto that. And anything that's our own, any working class Aussie comedy, the institution always is just like, yeah, they're just doing dirty jokes. It's really crass.
Yeah.
And they love the idea of someone in a cardigan pulling out an easel and then telling like a really poignant story. And that's why and it's like, dude, you just like this because you want to be accepted by England.
Yeah.
Move the fuck on.
And by the way, that's such a good point, because like, see, then when we've been going to Edinburgh Festival for years, me and Rosco, and it's like you do feel that thing. And I've always thought that theatre narrative driven Edinburgh show thing is a very English thing. It's a very English middle upper class thing, and it's alien to somebody like me who's like for Glasgow, got into it because I love just watching stand-ups, and really stand-ups like one of the ways into the arts for working class people.
Yeah.
And then you're
Absolutely
trying
it
to
is.
create this fucking theatre show because you want to be accepted as, you know, like these middle class English people. And the thing is, people go and do that, and they try and do what they think other people want, and then but because you literally didn't go eating and speak with an English posh accent, you'll never be accepted by them.
Yeah, but I don't, like, I've just lost, they've lost, you know what I mean? Like, people that do podcasts and the internet and stuff, that you actually just get direct to your audience now, so fuck them. But like, when I started doing stand-up, I did it, the first places were like my football club, or I'd be doing some like return serviceman league or some fucking it'd be like, because my family were farmers, it'd be like, yeah, we're going down to the Harvesters Growers Club, and there's a drought on, and there's been 2 suicides in the last month, and people just want to laugh, mate. And you don't pull out the easel and do like some story about your childhood trauma. You just get out there and you're like, what's going on with fingering? It's a bit squishy in there, isn't it? Like, some farmer,
it's a bit squishy in there. Someone's saying it.
It's all Ripley about 3 inches up, and you're going to hit that bit. And you'll say that, and there's like a grizzled farmer there who's got like a shotgun at home with his name on it. He's like, not today. I had a good laugh there.
That's what we're doing. Just try to stop these Australian farmers killing themselves.
But like, those people would never go, like, that's what I always hated about them, is that in some deep level, the most left-leaning people, in the way that they come across, the progressives, have always had to their core, and I've always seen it in them. Maybe it's like a bitterness I have where I'm just like, you fucking hate working class people, don't you? You love them in theory. You love them at university, because I met a lot of those in university. Like, a lot of my friends from law school who were the richest kids all joined. They all became like union leaders. And the first thing they did when they joined the union was to try and make like steel workers vegetarian.
Fuck's sake.
You know, and they would just like lose. They were like, I don't know, I'm just not connecting to the boys down there in the factory with my vegan sausage sizzle. And, you know, they'd be like, oh, we should end motorsports. They were trying to say that to like a group of like dudes who work out on like the production line, and like, motorsports bad for the environment. It's like, you really don't like anything about the people you purport to represent, do you?
Yeah.
And then they would hire me for the gigs, and I'd be doing some filthy material. And they were like, fucking, this is all right.
Yeah.
But then the guy who does the booking was like, geez, mate, you said cunt. I don't know if that's okay. This is an official function. And I'm like, yeah, for guys that make brake pads.
Yeah.
How many times do you think they said cunt before they got out of bed today?
Yeah. No, it's an interesting disconnect, isn't it, between that, like the liberal elite, I suppose, and then actual working class people, and that's why the fucking right have done so well, because they've managed to appeal to working class people instead, and then fucking...
What goes on in what's like Scotland like with Edinburgh happens? Because I imagine when we did like the Melbourne Comedy Festival, and then some supposed star from England comes over who won some award in Edinburgh, and they get given every great room and they get all the press, and then like you're an Australian comedian and they kind of like, this isn't for you. This is a big dance for the famous guys from England, and you're like, fuck off, you're in our country. Give us a bit of respect.
It's pretty much what Scottish acts feel
it
like.
that happens to us. Yeah, same thing. The English acts come up and get all the fucking best shit. Assembly. I met someone from Assembly who's over here.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh yeah, I remember I met you. You booked me during the COVID year for like the Big Ten, and I was like, whoa, 250 quid paid gig during the Fringe.
Yeah.
That's what those English acts are fucking getting, is it? That's crazy. And then the year after that, bumped down to the smaller tent again. I'm like, I'm still getting money, but obviously the English acts turned back up again and took all the fucking real
Train
paid
strikes
gigs.
were off that year.
I fucking ripped your fucking stupid tent apart. I fucking killed it.
See, be honest, but right, like I sort of think each to their own. Like I've seen some brilliant Edinburgh shows that are those themed ones with narratives and
Oh fuck yeah! But that's the thing is,
Everybody's
like,
got their
I like
place.
everyone's shit, but for some reason there's always a look down there. So now this is the punchback.
Yeah. No, it is, and you're right, and it's like people, like, because you sort of go, well, I've not really got that much to offer TV people who are looking for a certain type of thing that I'm not, then you go, well, I'll just make my own thing, and if you put it out there online, there is still an audience for it. So that's certainly what we've tried to do. But I think it's just like, fucking fine, do whatever you want, but you just need to recognise like the lay of the land and not try and follow someone else's, follow someone else's sort of path.
I like that I've been talking about working class values, and I was this close to saying, "Can you tell the cleaner to be quiet downstairs?" She's trying to do her art up here.
Your granddad would be ashamed of you, Amos.
See the alternative world of that thing, because I feel like I straddle between
Yeah,
the
you do
regular
straddle,
stand-up
man.
writing and into the alternative world. And even though I go to these like alternative nights at the Fringe and I fucking I rip them apart, I still never feel like I'm accepted by the acts, because they are I don't think they think I'm supposed to be there. They're like, why is this person that we avoid?
Well, you were a tradesman, weren't you?
Yeah, they can sense it.
Yuck.
They don't go. Oh, they don't come up and accept me into their groups. They will literally, two of them. While I was standing talking to two of them, I won't name which comedians it were, but and then they turned their backs on me.
Yeah.
And I thought for a second, I could be violent towards you, but I won't, because this is your place for the month. So I'm
that is
away.
I have had this exact feeling, which was like, as someone who played like football and was a more jockey comedian.
Yeah.
And when you're really nice to nerdy comics and you've been nothing but sweet to them, and then they're rude to you, you're like, you understand, I've quashed something inside me that fundamentally wants to cave your head in. And now you've made me look like a prat. I can't, but I showed you clemency.
Yeah.
And now you do this to me.
Yeah.
But that is a thing that like happens to like, see these like people that are a bit more nerdy or whatever, because they've never had any attention growing up, and then if they get a lot of attention doing stand-up, then sometimes they can be the worst type of people, because
whether it's stand-up or any industry, it's always those nerdy dudes who never had anything growing up. When they start to get some money or something, they're always the biggest. I find them the creepiest with the ladies as well.
They are the ones. I mean, what's that guy with the glasses? He done the fucking...
Oh,
he was
James
on, like,
Veach?
Conan. Yeah, him. You're like, oh, nobody liked you until you done a slideshow, and now you're a pervert.
Do you know, I'm not saying I hoped that he was a sex pest, but when it came out, I did give a fist pump, because I always hated that dude. And I was like, sorry to the victims, but you did play a role in bringing down a cunt that I hate.
but no, it's true.
That's
and then
probably not right to say. I wanted to ask you guys this question as someone who worked in, as a tradie, we would say in Australia. What do you guys call that in Scotland?
Just a tradesman.
Just tradesman, right?
a workie.
Have you noticed? I spoke to you about this at the pub.
Yeah.
Because I thought this was a global thing until I travelled around, that we, as in the tradie section, we drink flavoured milk as a masculine activity on work sites.
That is so... It couldn't be further away from any... Like,
What flavour? Like milk chocolate?
Like milk. So like it's mainly your iced coffee is your number one.
Right,
But
okay.
it's just like a carton of milk. And again, it's like 40 degrees Celsius here. And all the ads will be like, are you a man? Are you a real man? Get a milk in you. Chalky milk, the workman's delight, and it's just them like going, it's a real breakfast in a box.
It's so strange because, like, in Scotland, I guess, like, chocolate milk is only drank until the age of, like, maybe 7.
Yeah, it's for
Something
kids.
like that.
I think if you see someone drink a full pint of milk, they go on the sexual offenders register.
Yeah.
No, we have like, go look around every work site and you'll just see discarded milks, and like the one that I love is called Farmers Union Iced Coffee. There's only 2 places that I believe outsells Coca-Cola. Is your lot with Iron Brew,
Brew,
and it's us in South Australia with Farmers Union Iced Coffee outsells Coke. It's the top selling drink. And the ad is harden the FUIC up and get a milk in ya. It's the best, man.
I mean, I get when you add coffee into it, and it's like, but fucking hell. I mean,
Is that when you call iced coffee milk? But I suppose it is.
Yeah, well, it's
milk.
just a lot of milk with a bit of coffee flavouring. I don't even think it's like the real coffee.
no.
But now that everyone's become a coffee snob, the sales are starting to plummet. People don't, people. But you'll get like Mickey D is a fat fuck, is an Australian comedian, purely because he drinks banana milk after runs.
It's the most self-defeating fucking thing ever, man. Fuck's
his
sake.
guts must be so fucked up, man, if he's just running and drinking
He does like
milk.
42-kilometre run, and then he's like, I need a classic banana milk.
That's fucked,
And he'll
man.
pump 2 of those down.
That's so bad,
And
man.
it's just because of the marketing, but he's not a man if he doesn't drink it.
He does a bit of UFC, and then he gets a chocolate milk to feel like he's a true bro.
See, honestly, see having like 1 or 2 of them, that would completely undo all the.
Oh yeah, it's like
calories you've
500
lost.
calories or something.
It's insane.
And
man.
I would get them for recess and lunch at school.
Fuck.
You ever look back at what you ate as a kid?
Oh.
And it's like I would come home from school and I'd try to eat, some meat or something, grab some like salami out of the fridge. And my dad would be like, "Oi, eat something you can't, buddy. Eat the meat. There's too much fat in that." He's like, just have some bread, and you just eat like a loaf of white bread.
Aye,
And that was like
insane.
a health food.
mate, unbelievable.
Just a sandwich loaf with toast.
Have you ever heard of pizza crunch?
No, but
I was thinking about
I've heard a lot about these Scottish culinary arts. So please,
I mean, you
tell
can
me
probably
more.
guess what it is. It's a deep fried pizza.
Oh baby,
Yeah,
It's
take
fucking-
a,
baby.
I
take
mean,
a
but we used
slice
to
of
have that
pizza
a
and deep fry
There was
it.
a van that would part of the chip van and park outside our school at lunchtime, and I had a mate who had a pizza crunch every day for lunch.
Man, I used to have that as well, right? And
They
then
never done me any harm.
I know. There'd be a guy who would put loads of gas in his fucking hand for lighters and then fucking light a big ball of flames, and then we would fucking smoke a straighty can of hash and then go back to school. It was great, man.
Because I look back at me at school and like the amount of exercise you're doing, like
Yeah.
I was I did sports all the time, and I see myself at like 18 when I was at the end of high school, and I'm like, fuck, if I knew about nutrition, I would have been decent. I would have had a good rig.
Yeah.
But I was a fat fuck. I was the amount of McDonald's.
Aye.
Because in Australia, as soon as you get a license at 16, you're just at McDonald's for every meal for the rest of your life. Like that's all. Your job.
It's going to the
is to be the
drive-thru.
is that you're the drive-through guy. It's the best. By the way, I thought George Zach was going to be here. I wanted to tell a George Zach story.
Oh no, it's fine. George was on the Patreon episode, but tell it anyway. We can.
I was just going to rib him about. So there was a night in London where I came to do sets, and George latched on. I made friends with this weird Jewish guy who's like an oligarch. It's worth a lot of money. So he gave me a
Rubbing shoulders with the great and the good of society as
Well,
usual.
he came to see a show with Jim, and then I was on afterwards. Because Jim's sober, he didn't want to party, so I just was like, yeah, I'll go with you. And before I knew it, like we'd done all this gear, and then we flew to Cabo where he has a house and just partied there, and he had all sorts of fucking events going on. And then he goes, do you want to go to London? And I'm like, yeah, I'll book gigs around it. And he was like, cool, I got nothing on. And I'm like, this is fucking sick. So I messaged George and was like, George, come to Top Secret Comedy Club.
Aye.
It's gonna be a good night. Got us a room at the Mandarin Oriental, and I was with a girl and her cousin, and then I was trying to shag this girl, and George just did never at any point pick up that I was like, you should leave now.
I
And
think
so-
George rarely picks up when people want him to leave.
Yeah, that's
so, like,
pretty much a habit of his.
we're back in the hotel, and there's like me, her cousin, and George. And George's like, let's all get in the bed together, guys. And I'm like, George. So we just ended up falling asleep eating room service that had been paid for on the room, and I'm going to sleep. And then this girl starts to she takes off her underwear and she just puts it in my hand, and she's just like, you can fuck me. And I was like, oh, your cousin's there. George Zakharopoulos is right there. That's not doing a lot for me. And she's like, please. So she starts like backing into me, and we start to have really slow sex. And I was a bit like, this is uncomfortable. I don't know if anyone's awake, but they seem to be quiet. Still doing more. And then she gets off my dick and she starts to go down on me and give me a blowjob. And then George goes, guys, sex was one thing, but the blowjob is aggressive.
He is a funny guy, man.
And she was like, ah! And he's like, come on, just finish already. Let's go to sleep.
Fucking George, man. Fuck.
And like, for about a year now, every time that I'm having like a down day, I'm like, fucking hell, George, you ruined a great night for me, mate.
He's having those flashbacks, like, fuck, man.
Yeah, because I entered into a committed relationship after that. I was like, that was my last hurrah.
Your last
ruined
hurrah
my-
being a
like,
single guy
was
who's in
with
his
George.
bed with George Zach.
That's funny. You have a degenerate Greek friend in bed with you, and you go, "I'm going straight and narrow now, man. I'm going to get a good woman in my life."
That would make me sort shit out as well, man.
Yeah.
But it's not the only strange experience you've had in a bed, is it?
Oh yeah. So when I was a kid, my parents they got a divorce, and I was like 7 or 8. Mum went on a vacation while Dad was moving out of the house, and we went to like a small country town with like a little motel there, and in a town where there's a big orange because they grow oranges there.
Right. What do you mean? How would you mean a big orange?
So in Australia, we do this thing where if there's a town and it's got like something that they're producing, like they grow bananas, this is a giant styrofoam banana, and people take a photo in front of it.
Right. Okay.
It's a big. If you just look up big things Australia, be like, there's a big koala, a big peach, the big racism. It's a big whip. I don't know. But like, these are the things we do well here. We do big stuff.
So
there's
in the town centre, there's like a big
giant
styrofoam
orange.
Yeah.
I think that's so cool, man. Just being like, there's actually more space here than we realised. We'll just put big things in it and sort of fill the country up a bit.
That's all it is, right? It's giant, shitty styrofoam things. You go in there and you buy like a bag of oranges for $40 because they're the official big oranges or whatever. So it's a tourist trap for people coming to the regional area.
Yeah.
So we stay there, and it was me, my mum, my little brother, and our family GP. And I was like, "What the? Why is Dr. George here?" I was really like, I was young enough to be like, something's happening, and I was like, maybe I'm sick or something. Like, is it?
That's it.
Like, yeah, I'm like, are they giving me one last trip? And if this is my last trip, pretty mediocre. It's not Disneyland, you know what I mean?
No, Big Orange is not exactly Epcot, is it?
No one's make-a-wishing for the big orange country of South Australia. So like we're there, and Mum pulls out a Monopoly board, and we're playing Monopoly, and he's off somewhere else. He's not in our hotel room at this point. And then Mum wants to keep playing Monopoly, and so I used to pretend to be asleep to make things, just get out of shit. Right?
Yeah.
So I was like, I've passed out. So Mum wanders off and does other stuff, and then there's a knock on the door, and my eyes are closed, but it's the doctor. And I'm like, what? He's going to be staying in our hotel room? And it's just twin beds, okay? And then there's another little room with my brother's in that, and he's well asleep. And then they start making out at the door, like fully passionately, and I was like, shit. I should probably let them know that I'm awake because this is going to go south. And I'm like, nah, just it'd be awkward.
How old are you, by the way?
Like
Sorry?
8.
Oh, right,
So
okay.
I'm like, this is going to be awkward if I let Mum know that I heard a smooch in the dock. So I just kept pretending to be asleep, and then they went to the bed next to me and then just aggressively fucked for like an hour while I just laid on the bed. And it was like bang, like slapping, spit, like to the point where as an adult, I'm like, I don't fuck as hard as my mum does. Like, she's a weapon. I mean, I think that's why I had a whore phase in the middle of my life. I was like, I got to find someone out there dirtier than mummy. Like, you don't want to be fucking girls and be like, come on, love, my mum puts more minge around it than you do. She was 50 at the time. What's your excuse? I've heard the best. You're the rest. So, and then it was just like, man, it was truly brutal. I remember I was just like shivering because it just went for so long, and then it sort of was like it finished, and then they're at it again, like a second one, like so dark. And then in the morning, my mum came to give me like a morning love, and I was just like, get away from me, you're disgusting. And she's like, and I ran like into town, like to where my family's farm was, and I was like, I'm staying with my uncle and aunt Nina and Rowan. She's like, why do you want to do that? And I'm like, I can't even tell you why. You're fucking revolting. You're revolting.
And does she know now that you were?
Oh yeah, so I invited her, and I'm going to do a little bit of material here, but I invited her to the Sydney Opera House to the Just for Laughs gala, and I did that story. And she's like sitting there all dolled up at the Opera House, the height of Australian culture, and I was like, this will be good, Mum, my first TV gig. And she's like sitting right there, and then after the gig she goes, well, that was funny, wasn't it? But was it appropriate for you to do that while I was here? And I'm like, I don't know, was it appropriate for you to do that while I was there? It's a 25-year wait for justice.
Brilliant. And was that because, am I right in saying that the story was that you were just looking at that big orange while it was happening?
I just stared at the orange, like an orb. But no, really, because you know when you start to unpack your life, do you guys ever do therapy? I don't do it. Everyone keeps telling me I need it.
No, we can tell Amos. You don't.
I know
I'm
I
glad
need
you
it.
joined the dots about your relationship to women being
I
based
know,
on that.
I know I need it, like 100%. But I always like think about my youth, and like that was one thing about me was an absolute desire to get to bed early. When I was like, you know how kids always fight to stay awake? I never disagreed with bedtime because I was like, if you don't sleep, you hear things. There was never any. My mum was like,
That's
bedtime 8:30. I'd be like, I'm already in bed 7:30. Xanax, let's go.
That's possibly one of the saddest things I've ever heard.
But I mean, like, technically good parenting because you get those 8 hours, you know, and you're very productive the next day. Attentive.
Yeah, I'm the tallest member of my family. A lot of sleep, a lot of rest. Attentive in class. Yeah, it was so good because that was the thing when your parents divorce. Like my parents divorced when I was like 8, and it is such a sexist thing that happens to you. But like, I never cared if my dad was shagging.
No.
But like when it's your mum, it was like ever since then, like anyone that was around mum, you hate them. And then your dad would be like, "I'm going out on a date," and you'd be like, "Oh, what's her name?" And he'd be like, "This is a chick called Val." I'm saying, you're like, "Respect that.
Yeah.
Well done.
I know,
Get it
it's
done."
weird,
But then
that.
with your mum, you just don't want anyone fucking. But I've seen it all. But now she's got this guy called Wayne. He's got a boat. You guys have been on it. Hey, we've all done well.
Hey, listen, man. Fucking Wayne, you can shag next to me anytime.
Hey, do it on the boat. Get that boat rocking. Just don't let me go back to my old life.
You're a big actual football fan, not your fucking
Not
football
yeah,
use, because
yeah.
the actual football, because you're a Spurs fan.
I'm a Spurs fan, yeah.
And because I was asking you about Ange and the perception of Big Ange in Australia.
Oh, so Ange.
Sorry, Rosco.
Listen, it's all right. I think he's got a nice jumper, you know. Good on him.
He's a fun one because if you're a big football fan from Australia, he had this iconic fight
Aye.
with another beloved Australian guy.
Oh, so
called
is
Craig
that guy
Foster.
loved as well, yeah?
Beloved guy. Hosts the World Cup coverage.
Yeah.
He's a huge advocate for refugee rights in Australia. He's just like
The kind of Gary Lineker
Mr. Football. He's
aye.
a wonderful dude, right? But Ange used to coach the under-23s, and they had a disastrous World Cup. And he came on a live interview, and Craig Foster was essentially like, "You're shit. What happened? Will you resign right now, live?"
Yeah.
And Ange kind of pushed back, and it was like 9 of the most awkward minutes. And so my first perception of Ange, I was just like, "Who's this? This is shit Greek coach ruining Australian football," because clearly he wasn't liked here because he wanted to do tiki-taka stuff.
Yeah.
And we would just get trounced because we just don't have the players for it. And so he went away, but then he came back and won all this stuff with Brisbane Roar, and then he was overseas. Now we're all like, everyone loves Celtic now.
Oh, the steroids required to play a tiki-taka, aggressive press style
Allegedly.
football.
Allegedly.
Look up the Spanish Operation Blood Bag, eh?
Is it
Anything
not-
they won those fucking World Cups and Euros, they were replacing their blood.
Aye, that was it. Because what was the...
Were they really?
Apparently, it was the Liverpool asthma thing as well. Roscoe was telling me this thing about the Spain team.
It's
I
all
don't know.
fun. They won those Euros and fucking World Cups, and then the Spanish fucking royalty destroyed the blood bags of loads of like high up sports people, and the case is just gone.
Fuck's sake.
Good on
And
them,
that's
though.
how they saved.
That's
the
what I
World
want my
Cups and
team to do.
Euros.
See, if you're willing to go that far, but fair enough. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, when you're putting your own blood in a bag, I don't begrudge your results.
Nah.
You know what I mean? Because I didn't even turn up for training on time. I wanted to be putting my blood in a fucking bag. No one says that enough about like the rigor that drug cheats actually have to go through. Like you shorten your life, it's dangerous. You have to be on a tight procedure. You've got extra doctor's appointments. So
Yeah.
it's fucking well played.
How badly do you want
The
it?
extra doctor's appointments was about. I went, yeah, that is tough,
Yeah, but
man.
it's, I don't want to wait there.
I don't even like going to regular.
You've already read all the
obviously-
magazines, man.
And I imagine seeing a doctor now, Amos, is a difficult thing for you.
That's why I couldn't become a professional athlete, man. They were trying to inject me with steroids, and all I could think about was the doctor injecting my mum with cum. Yeah, no, I went for Spurs because they had all these Croats. You know?
Aye, right enough. Aye.
And so I went with them because they had Chorluka, they had Modric, they had Stipe Pleticosa.
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah, I said Chorluka, didn't I? Oh, Nico Krenkar, fucking
Aye.
loved him. And there was the Harry era. That's when I really got it. It was
Redknapp.
one day Ramos. It was like the first Martin Yol, one day Ramos. That era is when I got in.
Mm-hmm.
Edgar Davids was like so famous in Australia for some reason.
Was he?
Yeah, he was a big advocate for like getting people onto Spurs. And then, man, it's been pretty good, hasn't it? I don't know. I could have gone for Rangers if they had Prusso.
Oh, what a guy. He's
They
so
had Crancher
crazy,
for a
man.
while as well.
He's so
They
fucking
did,
crazy.
And then Jelic and on
The jellyfish, man. Oh my god, what a fucking striker! It seems like I think Jelic was well, you know, like Barisic, but Bona Barisic, his family is famously like mafia and stuff like that, right?
Wonderful.
But I think Jelic was also, his family like was famously mafia, and I'm like, we keep getting these cool fucking mafia ties, man, in all our fucking Eastern European players, and I think it's great, man. It's like, yeah, you can tackle
Modric
me.
think he's a baller because he's got 5 goals.
He's
or
got,
whatever the
his
fuck.
dad's got 5 goals, man. He comes from privilege. Don't get around him.
But anyway, I saw it be Ange, so...
Yeah, so Ange is like, Ange is really seen as the guy in Australia that was like, we can do better than just be muscly and fast.
Yeah.
We could actually teach people to play some kind of a system of playing ball. And he kind of had to leave. And Australia was kind of like, oh, whatever, it's not going to work here. And then once he got that job there, now he's like our Sir Alex Ferguson or something, where we're like, well, we're overdoing it a bit. Like the Australian media is just like, he's going to be the greatest coach in the history. But you guys we all hated Scotland for a while because I was watching all the reactions and everyone in Scotland was just ragging how no Australian could know their football. And
well, it was because Celtic had waited all summer to get Eddie Howe, and then he obviously never went, and then they got Ange, and everyone's like, who is he? But it was like, I mean, it's a fucking inspired movie. It's been amazing. Turned it around. He turned up himself and turned it around.
Is Aussie
within a year
worse or better than an American coach?
I think better, but it's just that I think there's just no guarantee that it's, you know, that they're going to be good, because the level, we don't know really even what the level is here. Like, but a lot of guys, let's see Scott McDonald, he finishes at Celtic or whatever, and then he goes to like Motherwell or something, and then he fucks off and goes to the A-League or whatever it's called. So like, it's just seen as a step down, probably in a similar way to the MLS or something, but ultimately fucking, I mean, the quality's not that great in Scottish
Because like
football
Australian football, it's complete. It's always been a full mix, which was because I grew up playing Aussie rules footy, but I also played football, like soccer or whatever you want to call it here. And you're either, I know you can't. This is not the word that it means where you're from, but I was called a WOG, which is basically any Mediterranean person. So Italian, Greek, Lebanese, Croatian, Serbian. We're one. We all stick together. We play in our own clubs. And we have like very, very strong style of play. And then there's this Scottish, English, Irish teams, and they were traditionally like, fucking whip it! Get down a byline, get chalk on your boots and smash it in. Whereas like all the Wagga teams were like, we're going to play it around the back, we're going to hold on to the ball possession, and forever that section of football, the English side won in Australia forever, and Andrew embodied like the other side, and that was not popular because we're like, it's risky, we don't have the bloody boys to do it. The Australian football way is to be hard cunts. We're taller and stronger and we're nasty. And then everyone was kind of like, yeah, but that gets you to the World Cup.
Yeah, but it doesn't get you through past the good teams.
Yeah, you don't go in. But then again, like, it's not like we're ever going to be a Brazil either. So I'm stuck between whether I just like us, just really doing hard tackles on Brazilians.
Well, that's it. But it's a similar position he's in now with Celtic. Is like, he's got us playing amazing in Scotland, but then see when we played in the Champions League, right, we played Real Madrid the first game in the Champions League, and see for the first 30 minutes we played the same way against them they played against anyone in Scotland, and for the first 30 minutes we absolutely battered them, smacked off the post, nearly get the first goal, and we ended up losing 3-0. But I don't think I've ever been more proud of Celtic than that first half hour when we were taking that game to Real Madrid. And you come up short.
If you said that in Australia, they'd be like this: proud of a 3-0. Well, good on you, mate. I hope you're happy with a 3-0 loss playing supposedly nice-looking football. But in Australia, we'd rather they go home with a fucking bruise on their ankle because they came and met some strong boys who lost 1-0.
But it's the same. It's the same in Scotland as well. Like, that's because it's, you know, just that sort of those tactics as well. But the thing is, I've seen fucking Celtic beat fucking 7-0 and all that and been playing shite. So at least we, like in the Champions League, so at least we fucking went.
Well, that's
for
the worst thing about being a sports fan is like everyone is delusional and believes their team is special. You're not. One team can win and be good. And it's like, I'm just watching for the hope that the game will be enjoyable. We might go somewhere, but like every team, I love watching like European coverage and like UK coverage of sports because the level that everyone's like 2 losses and like get that cunt out. he's ruining this football club. We're not where we're meant to be. It's like, how many people are meant to be successful? It's meant to be a place where you go with your friends to put on some fancy dress and get hammered and eat bad food and try and watch the game. Like, you're not going to all be winners.
Yeah.
Fucking calm down.
Absolutely.
That's why I'm a bad sports fan. I've never, like, even my AFL team, wherever, I just have never been able to be like, we got to win. I'm like, yeah, whatever. Gotta go.
It's taking part.
Spent 2 hours. Yeah.
You know,
I just went to talk shit about people.
Yeah.
I think Big Ange is great as well, because eventually he will run all of the Celtic squad into the ground. Their careers will be shortened by years.
By
You know,
depressing.
I'm playing the long game here.
Yeah.
You know,
Wait, who do you go for, Rangers?
Rangers, yeah.
Right, so
Real
you're not a
team.
Catholic then, eh?
No,
I see. Oh, forget about you guys. Got issues with that.
Well, that's what we get time for. Anyway.
Yeah, this podcast. Are you a Catholic? Yes, I am.
We're a football neutral podcast even back home, because I'm Celtic. Stevie, who's the other host, is Rangers, and
Because you know it's
I'm not sure
actually
it's
built
part of
here like
this.
none of you cunts can be friends. But I imagine it's like that's a bit of a. Is that overblown?
yeah, no, we can be pals and stuff. It's, the main thing is because you go to different schools. There's Catholic schools and non-Catholic schools, and so you kind of don't really meet people until you become like 18 or whatever, and you leave school,
Really?
and then you start meeting the people who didn't go to the school.
Yeah, that's that's great.
Yeah.
Because I went to a Catholic school as well, but you know it's cheaper.
Aye.
it's even
That's
weirder
what
when
it
you
is.
when you get into the arts and then you realise that all the Scottish media is ran by the Catholics. Man.
The unseen Fenian hand.
But hold on, aren't they? So the Catholics, are they the ones who want to break away? From
No,
the church?
it's not. It's a bit. It's not really to do with that. It's the
No?
Scottish independence thing. But people that are more staunchly Rangers and more staunchly like into the Union and all that are the more no. But
What's this podcast? You guys in or out of the UK? Let's get this on the record. where are
Oh,
you?
straight out, get out. Fuck those
Rosco, not
fucking
an actual
dweebs,
host
man.
of the podcast. I would say, well, I mean, to be fair, we probably have voted yes in the referendum, like to leave, like to become
would've voted
independent. I did vote yes, but
Yeah, you wore your Scottish kit on the boat with us, so
That's
that's how
right.
I knew you gave yourself away. Yeah.
but
I like that when you're a country like Scotland, if you wear your kit abroad, you're a patriot. If someone from America or from England wears their kit, they're a racist.
it's good. It's not get the racism connotations. It's good. That's one of the good
Because
things
you
we've been
come from
Scottish.
struggle, you see.
Yeah,
I like
even
how
though we
you-
were responsible for a lot of the same shit as we've
I
covered.
like how you made sure to say that Roscoe is not a host of the podcast. His views do not represent the podcast.
No way.
I'm like, fuck that fucking UK shit. Get out.
Well, I'm doing a Republican bit here for Australia because to me, I'm always so deeply ashamed that we're part of the Commonwealth.
Yeah.
And like, I love the UK. I'm actually closer with most people from the UK than Australia often.
Yeah.
Love the culture, you know, that because I'm a football fan or whatever.
And you're European, part
And I'm
European.
European,
as
so
well.
I've always gravitated to that. But it's just when I moved to America and these were around all that patriotism and they got their flag
Aye.
and they were just like, you know, stars and stripes, fuck yeah. And then I go, yeah, I love my country. And then I hold our flag and we have the British flag.
it's got the Union
and it's
Jack on
like,
it.
you can't help but feel like a little cuck.
Yeah.
When you're from a country that has the flag of another nation on it, you're
Yeah.
like, what the fuck? And all these dudes, Aussie dudes, are like, love the country. And I'm like, which one, man? Like, we need our own thing. Like,
Yeah.
it's so lame to be.
Yeah, you still get the watermark on the top.
the watermark. It is. It's copyright UK.
Can we get in touch with Getty Images and get this to fuck now?
Like, that part of it gives me and then you've got like this, the king and the Harry and that. And it's like, man, grow the fuck up.
Yeah.
But then again, aren't you Scots? I got on a fight with a Scottish guy where he was just like, we want to break away from the UK, we'll be our own country. But then he was desperate to be part of the EU. And I'm like, so aren't you just going to a different conglomerate? What's that about?
Yeah, but I mean, but Europe's fucking cool, you know? What you think I want to go to England for a nice city break? I don't give a fuck about
You kind of just want to do the
North
opposite of whatever the
Cheshire.
fuck England wants to do for a large part, to be honest. It's like,
I want to go to fucking Prague for the weekend.
Yeah.
I don't care about Liverpool. Fuck that. It's disgusting.
Mate, if you want to be part of Europe, I'll tell you what you got to do. You got to pretend you're like my mum told me to do. And I'll get you Croatian citizenship.
and what a callback. What a callback. I mean, we are going to need to bleep that word out, but apart from that, no. Speaking of which, by the way, are you coming to Edinburgh Festival
I
this
think
year?
so. I don't know. You know, everyone warns me against going, but I want to
No,
go.
you'd love
I
it.
want to go and do it. I want to hang out there. You know, but everyone just said you get fucking shafted and you lose thousands of pounds. And I don't really want to be told I'm a cunt by the Guardian for a loss. But it seems like a fun hang.
Yeah, it's a good month.
It's great fun. It's great
Yeah.
fun.
Also, I think I owe you guys me coming over there struggling.
Yeah.
Because Scots and English and that always come over here in the festival where I sell well, and I get to be like, hang in there, boys.
And look, mate, see,
It's not a bad festival.
Aye.
Yeah, I had I had 150 in tonight. I battled through it, but we're all struggling. And then when I go over there, you guys get to go. How is it, mate?
Yeah. I can
Well-
take you out in my Ford Focus.
I was going to say, we'll
1.6
take it in
automatic.
Roscoe's van as a thank you for the boat.
I'm owed something. You're going to take me up half the seat or something.
Mate, that's it. Well, I'm hoping that we can get a wee fucking house sorted from the Patreon money for the podcast if we're doing successfully by August. So you're welcome to come
So
stay with us, man.
is this like you guys are like you're the legit show now.
It's going
Yeah.
well, man. Yeah, we're starting to get bigger all the time, and it's getting
You're,
good.
and what about you? Where's your podcast? What do you got?
I do Twitch, man.
Are you Twitch?
guy, yeah.
What do you stream on Twitch?
Just whatever, you know. I've been watching.
You don't have to play games.
You know Madman Motors here in Perth? I've been watching a lot of his adverts the last 2 days. Madman Motors!
Shout out to Madman Motors for giving me a free car.
You
for
got
the
a
rest
free
of the-
car,
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
He's a madman.
He's a Scottish guy, and he came up to me at the end of he came to my show, and then he came up to me and went, he gave me $100, and I'm like, man, no, I can't take $100. He's like, it's fine, I'm a multi-millionaire. I was like, well, give me some more than that.
See, the Scots, you guys all support each other when you're abroad, right? The Croatians, we're fucking. I'm a member of a group called the Croatians in Australia, and it is just like crazy people in there. Like one of them the other day was like, we're going to Novak Djokovic's hotel room, like to these hotel complex for when the Australian Open was on, not to protest him. We're going to try and protest Goran Ivanisevic, who's like the Croatian tennis player, who is now the coach of Novak. And they're like, he's a fucking turncoat traitor Yugoslavian communist. And we're going to scream traitor when he walks to his car. And you're like, why?
Yeah.
Why? And they're like, why? Because he's working with a Serb. Yeah. And you go like, man, like what's that got to do with anything? He's working with his mate in the same like industry.
Yeah.
Who does
And it's
this cunt think he is? A sex yakker or something like that?
And I'm like, I get into fights in there all the time. I'm like, man, I came onto this group to learn how to stuff a capsicum. Like, I wanted the recipes to the food that my grandma with dementia has forgotten. I wasn't here to learn how to build a roadside bomb for a Serbian tank. Like,
That's a difficult Facebook group to post in as well, and it's a difficult just to be like, all right, guys, I'm doing a show. If you want to come and see it.
yeah, the Croatians like with stand up. I want them to come, but it's not a part of the culture.
No.
Eastern Europe had its sense of humour. We're not into stand up as much. It's getting back there. My grandpa, who's 90, he had my job described to him, and this is how he summed up stand up. I reckon this is a belter. He goes, "You make a mental sickness and speak about how much are wrong, and the people are more sicker than you a pie." And the clap. Oh, this one is a weird.
And you don't even have a cardigan or anything, man.
You know, no one wants to come and give me shit.
Fuck.
So can we do we put up the video of what's his name? Madman Motors?
Aye, we'll put in Madman Motors. He's got some funny TikToks and stuff like that. But shout out to him for
That's sick.
for
No, he's not gonna charge you at the end. That's not something weird.
unless I crash.
Yeah, you got to return the car, and he'll be like, "There's a scratch here."
That's
That's
the thing.
$5 grand.
I'm worried how mad he might be.
He can turn. I've heard.
Yeah,
There
I
is
think so.
talk out there. He's a madman.
Yeah, madman by name. Oh man, but listen, that's fucking. I think that covers it for that. Thanks a lot, Amos, for joining us. And
thanks, man.
definitely check out Amos' stuff. Fucking brilliant comic. If you're at Edinburgh Festival, definitely go and check him out there. Anything else you want to plug? Just Instagram and
Just
stuff.
the Instagram, and yeah, if I go to Edinburgh, give us a look, or
Right.
just pat me on the back when I'm sad.
Absolutely. And Rosco, obviously, catch him on Twitch. As for us, you can as ever like and subscribe on YouTube, give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and you can follow us at Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at SomewherePod. The fucking cameras just ran out there, I think. But until next time, guys, speak to you soon. Cheers.
See you later.